13 minutes after 8 o'clock. It's hump day. And here's hoping you feel sensational, like the song says. Chris Brown, Davido, Lil J. But it's all about AZ right now. Well, what's so funny?
That introduction.
Yeah,
man. Pleasant morning to everyone. Trusting that everyone is having a beautiful morning so far.
Sensational morning.
A sensational morning to all. I just want to say, hoping that everyone is doing well. I know there are a bit of, the roads have been, based on the aftermath of the Hurricane Tammy, even though she didn't directly hit, some of the roads are still, layered with dirt, and so getting to and fro has been difficult. Nevertheless, I want to encourage persons to drive safely, drive cautiously, and make sure, that you get to work as quickly as possible. This morning, Jamster, I have an article here. It's, the EU. They continue to examine our, it says here, EU examines visa waiver policy, Caribbean CBI programs to be affected. And this is an article that was issued 19 hours ago on Loop News, and it says 5 Caribbean countries that operate citizenship by investment programs are at risk of losing their visa-free access to the European Union, as the body is looking at strengthening the visa waiver program to improve security and prevent illegal migration. It says on October 18th, the EU Commission adopted a proposal for regulations to amend the current visa suspension mechanism. The amendments aim to prevent abuse of the visa waiver program, along with tackling risk posed by persons who purchase their citizenship via a CBI program. It goes on to say the EU waiver program allows nationals from 60 countries to visit 27 countries up to the 90 days for tourism and business. It says here the proposal, which are made in the 6th report under the visa suspension mechanisms, are, so they're talking about to expand the grounds for suspension to include non-EU countries that are not fully aligned with the EU's visa policy, and visa-free non-EU countries operating investor citizenship schemes. They also talk about increased duration of the procedure to allow more time for remedial actions. They're talking about an urgency procedure is introduced to react faster in case of sudden challenges to visa-free regime. They're talking about strengthening the Commission's monitoring and reporting obligations. They have also noted that in the report, the EU expressed concerns about a high number of passports sold by Antigua and Barbuda, Dominica, Grenada, St. Kitts and Nevis, and St. Lucia. A total of 88,000 passports were sold by the Caribbean nations since their programs began. The EU Commission report stated, it says Dominica, a country with just over 72,000 inhabitants, has issued 34,500 passports, while St. Kitts and Nevis has issued 36,742. The Commission has raised concern about the programs, which have a low rejection rate of about 3 to 6%, and a short processing time at least 2 months. They are also concerned about the cheapest golden passport programs in the world, with a minimum investment of US 100,000. So here they are talking about additional middlemen often hired to process the application, and the EU is concerned about the rules set by the countries on paper, that the rules set on countries on paper aren't being followed. It says, based on the information presented to the EU, the main CBI applicants are nationals from China, Russia, Syria, Iran, Iraq, Yemen, Nigeria, and Libya. It also goes on to say the Commission welcomed the country's decision to suspend applications from Russian and Belarusian nationals. It says that the Commission added that it will also continue to monitor all visa-free countries operating investor citizenship schemes, and will intensify the dialogue with those countries in a view of finding long-term solutions aimed at preventing possible circumvention of the UN short-stay visa procedure and in-depth assessment of individual migratory and security risks it entails. Oh, so the EU is really stepping down. If you were to listen to the Honorable Matt Brantley at his press conference just yesterday, he actually touched the situation with the citizenship by investment, and he gave his own view about what is happening and the global players. I mean, a month ago, September 17th, in a Loop article, it says that St. and Nevis tops 2023 global CBI index. So a month ago, we have reports of St. and Nevis topping the CBI index, and says that the Caribbean nation of St. and Nevis has topped this year's CBI index ranking for offering one of the best citizenship by investment programs in the world. In the CBI index, published by the Financial Times Professional Wealth Management magazine, St. Nevis stood out for taking immediate and decisive action based on the 6 principles framework, which was a significant factor behind achieving a top spot in this year's CBI index with a score of 77 points. St. Nevis was ranked against 11 other countries, including Antigua and Barbuda, Austria, Cambodia, Dominica, Egypt, Guyana, Jordan, Malta, St. Lucia, Turkey, and Vanuatu. Overall, the report found Caribbean programs retained their position atop the 2023 CBI index. Dominica scored 75 points to rank second, St. Lucia and Grenada ranked third with 72 points, while Antigua and Barbuda ranked fifth with 66 points. A key finding in the 2023 CBI index noted Grenada's ascent to the top 3 position spots improved scores for due diligence, standard of living, and certainty of product. Grenada also fast to implement 6 principles measures as demonstrated by the introduction of the mandatory interview requirements on September 1st, 2023. And it says here the CBI index ranks each program across 9 areas or pillars: freedom of movement, standard of living, minimum investment outlay, mandatory travel or residency, citizenship timeline, ease of processing, due diligence, family, and certainty of product. And St. Nevis achieved full marks in the 4 out of the 9 pillars: mandatory travel or residency, ease of processing, due diligence, and certainty of product. So here is an article just in September indicating that St. Nevis tops the 2023 global CBI index. And then a month after, we're hearing reports from the EU indicating, the visa waiver of free access, to their countries. And now we're hearing from the Honorable Matt Brantley in his press conference. So I read that first one, and then I read this second one to give us some sort of context, because if you listen to the Honorable Matt Brantley, he's bringing a whole different perspective on, it being one, and different people share the views. One view is that, these are just the bigger countries, seeing St. Nevis being extremely competitive. And in an article where he says that St. Nevis tops the 2023 global CBI index could give evidence of that, So we have some clips in the studio. We could play them. We couldn't have the entire thing that the Honorable Matt Brantley would have said, because, it was pretty long. So we just, clipped certain aspects of it to get a full gist. So we'll play the first one.
Okay, so here we go with Mark Brantley from his monthly press conference held yesterday. This clip is... okay, I don't see the duration for this one, but let's go.
We have to be very careful that we don't subscribe to a narrative that we are bad people doing bad things simply because what we are doing doesn't accord with the agenda of some other country or some other people. I used the example of cricket in my speech yesterday. And I said that in the 1980s, the West Indies cricket team was the best cricket team in the world. We, in part, achieved world dominance because we had the fiercest bowling attack in the world. We had, they call them the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. We had Gerald Garner, Michael Holden, Andy Roberts, Colin Croft. Later, we had people like Malcolm Marshall and Wayne Daniel and those. Reality is that the West Indies dominated the world, in part because we had a type of bowling that struck fear in the hearts of the English, the Australians, the New Zealanders, and everybody else. West Indies cricket was an example of West Indian exceptionalism. We had excelled and we dominated the world. What did the world do? The world changed the rules. So, for example, Michael Holden used to be able to bowl a fella 2 or 3 bouncers, get him frightened, and then bowl him a Yorker and knock out his stump. ICC said, no, you're now going to be restricted to 1 bouncer per over. Why do you think those rules were introduced? They say, oh, it's for the safety of players. I'm not telling you no safety of players. They were introduced because they wanted to take away from the West Indies a weapon that the West Indies had developed. And I believe that we all must understand that a lot of times when you hear this talk, because the wealthy countries of the world keep telling us small countries, you must fend for yourself. You must find ways to be sustainable. You must find ways to pay your bills. You can't keep coming to us cap in hand saying, oh Lord, we had a hurricane and we need help. But every time, and I challenge all of you to look at our history, every time that we have found a way, they have come back to find ways to stop us. Every time. We had the bananas from our banana producing countries in the Windward Islands, St. Vincent, Grenada, St. Lucia. They used to get preferential access to Europe. The big companies in America, Chiquita and those, they say no. They shouldn't get any preferential treatment. You know what that led to? The whole banana industry collapsed. People out of work. Then some of us decided we will engage in financial.
Okay, so that he make the reference to the cricket team that we have, the West Indian cricket team that was dominating in the 1980s, and then he says that based on the dominance, they changed the rules.
They changed the rules, and they do that with everything. They did it with Prime. If you follow football, you know, Deion Sanders. No, they changed some rule because of the kind of what should I say? Kind of groundbreaking things he did when he took over at Colorado. And so on.
And then he goes on to talk about the, you know, offshore.
All the time.
Offshore, he gave the example of that. Then he goes on to talk about the Chiquita bananas. And he is building the argument that, you know, that it seemed to be a constant every time the small islands are doing something progressive, and that, you know, the bigger countries see that and then step in. Let's play the second clip that...
or sanction Germany or Switzerland. We have to accept that a lot of these rules are not being made to help us. They are disguised, they are dressed up, but these rules are designed to keep us in our place. And our place is to remain dependent on somebody someplace else. So, I've gone in a roundabout way to talk about CBI. The Citizenship by Investment program, and the idea of leveraging citizenship for investment started right here in St. Kitts and Nevis. 1984, 39 years ago, was when we gave the world that idea. Since then, you have had Canada. Sometimes my Canadian friends get upset with me because I tell them, I say, as much as you're all talking, Canada had a program designed to attract wealthy Hong Kong Chinese to Vancouver. That's why so many of them moved and settled there when Canada realized that Hong Kong was moving from British rule back to Chinese rule. You would recall, members of the press, that Hong Kong was under British rule for, I believe, 100 years. When it went back to China, the date was known, Canada decided this is a good way to attract all of those wealthy Hong Kong Chinese, tell them come to Canada. And they responded positively. You go to Vancouver, British Columbia, a lot of Hong Kong Chinese there. To the point where even Canadians were complaining, saying the property prices went up so significantly for them because these persons were coming in. You look at England. You think that all those Russian oligarchs that ended up in the wealthiest neighborhoods in London, the neighborhoods in London that attract these wealthy people. You have people like Abramovich, who owned, I believe, was Manchester City, if memory serves. Manchester City or United? Manchester City. Abramovich, I think, had owned. Oh, no, it's at Manchester City. Chelsea. Forgive me. You see, I'm not a football fan, so I wouldn't know. Chelsea. So Abramovich owned Chelsea, Russian oligarch. These things aren't by accident. These are deliberate government strategies to attract investors and investment to the shores of England. So how come England can do it, Canada can do it? Portugal developed a citizenship by investment program. Cyprus, Malta, all of those had programs. St. Kitts Nevis gave the world the idea. Then Dominica, St. Lucia, Grenada, and Antigua and Barbuda.
Okay. So basically in that he's saying, that, other countries do the citizenship by investment, and that the idea was conceptualized in St. Kitts. And so these are really room for discussion that, we really, another chain of thought. And while he is saying that, you see the UN now, the EU, now saying that basically, threatening with the visa-free access and everything. Interesting discussion, interesting take on the whole.
Absolutely, and the fact that all those European countries you just mentioned, but somehow that's not a problem, but ours is a problem.
But when I heard that and I read that, it's very interesting, because the thing about it, a lot of these persons are getting citizenship through St. Kitts and Nevis, so they could go to other territories like the EU, the US, and so in a sense, if you look at it at the other end, they're saying, you guys are outmaneuvering us to get persons where they want to be, which is us. So,
but also they're glad to use that as cover to keep us in our place, right?
So it's very interesting. Of course, what he says has merit to it. Really does have merit. And on the flip side, it's again competition. Competition seems to be the order of the day.
And with that, we get ready for our in-store.
Yes.
I'm saying in-store, in-studio.
Yes.
Yeah,
we're not buying Social Security. Don't study with him.
In studio, our in studio segment, which Social Security does the last Wednesday every month.
Yes.
So we're gonna come right back, Camila Lawrence.
Yes.
Satisfied. TDC Insurance, we take good care of you, guaranteeing you peace of mind. You're always safe with us.
Getting sure to be sure of your benefits. Sickness and maternity, I'll tell you about the rest of it. Survivors grant your spouse and kids get the best of it. Let me mention pension when you're 62. When you're done work hard and retire, this is what to do. Listen, this Social Security is working for all your benefits. Funeral want to help every one of your relatives. Come register for this Social Security. Social Security. So every time you get your pay, Social Security.
It's wild to me that Social Security has a trap has a trap theme song, and I mean that as a compliment.
It's
'cause
so cool.
I'm telling you.
I love it.
telling you.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning. Good
we
morning.
have to roll with the times. So we be
Yes.
coming from Calypso.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, because we
'Cause-
had a series there of being very conservative in
Yeah.
our delivery, but now we recognize that Social Security is more than for the elderly or nearing retirement. We have to
Exactly.
be attractive. And that's why they have a pretty girl.
Yeah, of course.
Of course, of course. If you do say so yourself.
I don't say so
but I'm there,
myself,
I'm there.
period.
I'm there.
I like your support.
Yes.
Yes,
You're
so
correct.
We
You're
have
correct.
to be attractive in our delivery
Yes.
and messaging, and music is one sure way to do that. I especially like when he says, "Come register for this
Yes.
Social Security."
She's always selling it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pull up selector.
Oh, yeah. No money pull up though. So it's good to be
Yes.
here.
It's always good to have you here.
Yes. Welcome to Because You Deserve a Future, our live discussion on Social Security, where you can call in and share your concerns, make recommendations for our improvement, and of course, you can give us some compliments as well. We appreciate those. Today, we want to talk about the value of Social Security. And when I say the value, I'm not talking money per se, because lately we've been synonymous with money, how fast you can get money. But I want people to appreciate the value of Social Security, our mission, the benefits, our corporate social responsibility. So we're going to have a reflective conversation. I want some conversion into compliance, and I'm going to tell you a bit about what we're doing for the month of October and what we've been doing over the last quarter.
Awesome. Sounds good.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So when I speak about the value of Social Security, I want people to appreciate where we came from. And as you're aware, we are celebrating 45 years of Social Security. We are now a mature fund to make mature decisions, and we've proven our worth. We've proven what we're able to do. Our mission is to provide benefits to eligible persons guaranteed by sound financial management and efficient administration. And there's never been a time that we have not followed through on our mission. Our staff takes it very personal. A matter of fact, when you come in Social Security, you really ever leave to go anywhere else, because we are people focused in that we don't see the yellow paper as yellow paper, which is a sick leave, but we recognize it as somebody who is unable to provide for their families at a time of incapacity, illness, maternity, survivors, whatever the case may be, and even age. So we take our role seriously. And so I want people to see the value beyond getting benefits, but what it means to have a strong Social Security fund. We know the stories worldwide around the region. We've seen protests in neighboring islands of persons who are standing up for their rights, meaning standing up for their benefits. Like, I paid, I contributed, and I expect to have a benefit. We don't have that situation in St. Kitts Nevis. Sometimes, and I'm going to be frank, people say, well, y'all, let's stay too long to pay. I don't go back out, go work, and ain't get this money yet. In all things being equal, a claim can be settled within 2 days. Once we have all the information needed to settle a claim, we do that. Sometimes there are factors that affect that. We've discussed those before. Sometimes we don't have the wage information. Perhaps for another reason, there is a backlog, or maybe a fault of the than usual. And so we want people to recognize what the value of Social Security is when you think about a young mommy who has her new baby at home, and she can't go to work because she has to tend to the baby, and there's no other form of income. I can't imagine that, because I have things to do. I got things to do with my money outside of having a baby. I have a mortgage to pay. I have this. I have whatever else. And we want people to visualize not having that at all, not having income when you're sick or unable. And that was this state not too far ago, where we had stories of persons having to go back out to work or continue to work. I could recall my grandparents with bent backs, literal bent backs. My mother is 70 and she good. She's straight up because it shows that she didn't have to work as hard as her parents had to, right? So there was a time when we had not that reliance on a system of social income protection, and Social Security provides that. Today, our fund stands at $1.7 billion. Say it. Don't raise your eyebrows.
$1.7 billion.
But that's in assets and reserves and so on. But we are a maturing fund. And with maturity comes changes. I'm sure you can recall when you could have got out every night and don't be tired. Even now, if you just go church Sunday, you're tired. Bad.
Sleep is such a blessing. I remember when I was very young, preschool, I was like, what are they talking about, this sleep thing in the afternoon?
I never used to do it. It's true. Like, I'm not a napper, but...
Didn't appreciate the siesta.
I didn't at all. I was like, this is a waste of my time.
I agree with you, but now...
No, if you could get a little nap, siesta in there, you'll take
Listen, my siestas, I don't wake up till the next day. So, it means that things change. Your body's not able to. And as we grow and mature, it's the same system. We have to make certain changes. So, the fund has grown over the years. We started out with a number of benefits, and we've included others along the way. Like in 1986, there was no employment injury. That's something called workers' compensation. So Social Security introduced that so that if you're injured on the job in the course of your duties, or if you develop an illness, a disease as a result of your working conditions, you are paid a benefit with increased percentage, as opposed if you had contracted the same illness, not from work, right? So we had the employment injury branch that covers at least 6 additional benefits, including something that we call a constant care allowance. So if you're injured and you need a caretaker, Social Security pays that person monthly to provide that service to you. And then in 1996, Social Security introduced self-employed coverage. So before then, you had entrepreneurs who weren't able to contribute to the fund. How fair could that be? If I take on the role of being my own entrepreneur, I should have the same coverage as someone who's employed by somebody else.
Quick question.
Sure.
On the home care thing. I just discovered, I think it was last year, that the government had that service. So where a nurse would go to a home and take care of an elderly person, sometimes sleep overnight. So you guys pay for that?
Well, it's two separate things.
Yeah.
If the person is injured as a result of work and requires, so it comes under employment injury.
Okay.
Yes. So if the person is...
I'm talking about, the one I know about is like an elderly person.
Yeah. So it's not that we do the elderly care. If the person is injured...
Oh, I understand what you're saying now.
Yes.
Oh, so like they're convalescing home and you guys would actually pay for someone,
if the person,
really?
yes,
Okay.
or but it has to be as a result
of a
an
work-related injury. Yeah.
Good. And so we've increased the benefits basket per se and not changed the formula of how we work and so on. So as we go along, the basket getting wider, the contributor base is getting smaller, and life happens. And so we have to consider the growth of the Social Security Fund.
But at the same time, people are working longer. No, that's not enough to.
Well, people are working longer, but we also have a greater aging population. So more people.
Well, yeah. So that's a double-edged sword, I guess.
Yes, because we're also contributing to good health. Because one of our corporate social responsibilities is health. So annually, we provide the hospitals, or rather the ministry, access to $100,000 US annually, $270,000 to buy equipment or to put it for training or some use in health care. So we promote good health. You work, you contribute, you live longer. And so on the other hand of that also, we also have a smaller contributor base. because we're not getting as much children as our parents had, and so on. My grandparents had about 7 or 8. My mother had 4 of us, and I had one and done. Bram. The end. So we are seeing, and then there are others who consciously say, I don't want to have a child. So our contributor base is getting smaller, our eligibility pool is getting wider, and a lot of other factors in between there. And that's life, really. So in order for us to be able to continue to be sustainable, we also have to do a recalibration, a reformulation of how our Social Security serves us.
And I bring the point in relation to the comparison with France, where they have increased the age of eligibility.
And had riots for weeks.
Yeah, really crazy. But I guess they're trying to solve the problem in the sense that, as we say, you know, persons are getting less and less children, not just in St. St. Nevis, but globally. You have a situation where it is that more persons are living longer, and you have a workforce, because I'll tell you, you have persons even in their 60s right now who are working for themselves, doing things. They're not staying home as, you know, back in the day persons used to stay home. You have more persons saying they reach the age of Social Security 62 or above, but they're still working.
Correct. Because my mother is now self-employed. And she's been pensionable. Say, talking your business, Weasel. Right? So she is now pensionable going on 10 years.
Oh, wow.
You understand? And she working. She doing her own thing in a totally different field.
Yes.
But she keeps herself employable, and it keeps her young.
Yeah.
But, you know, there's something I thought about. I think it only hit me. It only hit me, I think, of maybe 3 years ago. I realized, like, when I was living in Canada, North America, and so, and I would see, and this is a way to make people understand how important Social Security is. I would see people in their 60s, 70s, maybe working at Starbucks and some of these things, actually bagging groceries, and it's only within the last 3 years or so I started to think about, oh, that person probably maybe didn't, maybe their life was so disorganized, maybe where they don't have any anything in the Social Security service in, say, Canada or the U.S.
I'm glad you raised that point.
Yeah, because
It's
you know,
twofold.
Yeah,
they have to go and get a job.
They have to.
Two, because there's no retirement savings and there's maybe no Social Security thing.
And there's no health care.
Yeah.
And so on. So
but there are persons, because I know there are persons too who have Social Security, but still they just don't want to stay home. They don't want to become like
it's multiple.
But I've had some of them
reasons.
actually tell me that. I've had there was a guy that worked in a coffee shop around the corner from me. Said, well, you know, the Social Security ran out a long time ago and whatever,
Yeah.
and you know.
And then the point to be made is that Social Security assists, but with inflation and everything else, you still have to.
Exactly.
There's a max.
Yes.
You can only get up to 60% of our wage ceiling, which is $6,500.
You taking any calls?
Sure.
Okay.
You have a caller?
Yeah, I just had 2. So
Okay.
Okay. Well, caller hope. Oh yeah, here we go. On to the next line. Caller, go right ahead for Camila Lawrence.
Hi, good morning. How are you doing?
Hi,
Good
good morning.
Hey, good morning.
Peace to you guys. Interesting topic. What I have to say though is that working in old age is also a form of exercise,
Yes.
physically and mentally, and kind of keep the body going. If you study the laws of physics, something in motion stay in motion.
Yes.
True.
Likewise. So,
Yes.
you know, that also persons, because they're persons who are actually wealthy, but still find time out to follow the principle, because it's like, if I sit down, the muscles get weaker, you know, so it has the health benefits and so forth.
Yeah, absolutely.
Also, the other issue is right now is that a lot of young persons especially here in St. Denis. So maybe show the world, I don't know, but I start talk for the Federation. Not working, so it's not that we have less persons working. There's less persons who seem to be interested in working. So how we get that break? And then we have companies going out of business. So that's the other thing. So I think the policy now for government is to encourage creation of businesses and encourage employment. That will cause the social security to survive. And as well, there are some countries who have a mandatory of forced persons to retire at a certain age is discriminatory against the age, if you want to put it that way. And therefore, it should be up to the person to be determined when they're ready, but plus, give them counseling to prepare them for leaving official work. Because where we're coming from. Mm-hmm. In that way, you have monies coming in still to the social security system.
Thank you for
because,
your contribution. Oh, sorry.
As you mentioned before, persons living longer. Mm-hmm. You were saying something?
I was saying thank you for your contributions because it adds to the discourse. Yes, we recognize the importance of still having engagement after the official retirement age. We also spoke about some people just have to, right? So, and then you spoke about the unemployability or young people not being engaged. And that's also a big thing for Social Security because we also recognize that there is the growth in the informal sector, meaning...
Yes, and also, before you leave,
yes,
if you remember the scriptures carefully, be industrious, be fruitful and multiply. And as you mentioned, having children is not bad because you realize if you have no children, you realize what happens. Society could just vanish. Mm-hmm. You understand where I'm coming from? So, there are some countries right now are encouraging and even giving incentives for persons, for children, for people to get their couples and so on,
yes,
to get children.
True. That's true.
So, that's something we have to look at because if not, then you know what will have to happen? And that is why some of the bigger countries have a system about migration, people coming in and they get residency, they get citizenship to get that same problem solved. And I think you mentioned earlier about the citizenry economic investment. If you look back to how ours started and how it is now, that's the way it's not supposed to be. And you realize if you get citizenship, but you're not living in the country, you see where the social security thing we're talking about. So even if they're not living in the country, at least something from them should come to. You understand where I'm coming from? So the social security, what we're talking about, you see how it covers a bunch of stuff if you look at it carefully. And why it is important, citizens contribute to it. So maybe that's something they could think about for the citizenry investment program.
Okay,
so
thank you,
my
Carlo.
Contribution.
Thank you.
Very much.
Well appreciated.
God bless you. God bless you all.
Thank you.
God have a good day.
Too. Yes. I'm loving the conversation. Right? And you see me get my goosebumps. Empty. Look, fact check.
Yes.
Okay,
she
good.
really has these goosebumps.
Right? Because it's something that I'm very passionate about. And I would hate that after all these years of encouraging and providing information that we have persons who are still not eligible by their choice because they've worked but not contributed. And we tend to get very focused on whether we gain a benefit after we reach 57. If I don't go through the week with a 57-year-old plus calling to say, I have 500 weeks. And it's sad because 500 weeks gets you in the door. That's like paying for about 10 years. That gets you in the door. A pension at about 30% of your average wage. You can't live off of that, right? So we see people with 300 and something, 200 and something, people wanting to pay up all at once to be able to get a monthly pension, and it cannot work like that. You need 33 years to build a pension in the way that we have it formalized right now.
Yeah. So, wow. persons need to, programs like these by Social Security have to encourage persons to be aware, to pay Social Security and be a part of the process, be a part of the program, so you too can benefit in the long run.
And you know what? This is a conversion conversation. Remember we said that about compliance. We recognize that there's the growth in the informal sector. Yeah. And government is our strategic partner. So they would say, if you want such and such as a small business, register for Social Security. So we see the spike in registration, but there's no compliance. So you register in order to get access to the concessions or to whatever training programs and grants and so on, but there's no compliance because people don't correlate the value of what you're getting. And that is so sad. But
I see where you use the word conversion. Yeah. So how do you get the uptake now and get them to see the value?
How
right?
do we do that?
Yeah.
How do we do that? Because we talk, we come to your communities. A matter of fact, on Sunday I'm going to a church during their congregation time to speak about Social Security. So and tonight I'll be in St. Paul's to speak about social.
Account you're being building up. So the benefits are due to you from the time you reach 60. So he did everything with respect to documentation. But then he's told that those 2 years he cannot get his benefits due to some section 71 of your policy or guidelines. And I feel it's unfair. Why an incarcerated person cannot get his contribution after his benefits after he would have reached 62, despite being incarcerated? Even if he cannot get it while incarcerated, could it be delivered onto an account? Could he be given it retroactively? Because it is his. It's a contractual arrangement, and I find that is a breach of contract. Not because you're incarcerated, you should be getting your money. Your benefits become due after 62. So even if you spend 2 more years up to 64, why? What is the reason behind it? Why that person cannot get his benefit? We have programs, Social Security got programs, where some persons never ever contributed to Social Security, but they manufactured something to help out that person, and they get a monthly assistance. So if you could do that for persons who did not contribute to Social Security, why deprive an inmate from getting his Social Security for the extra 2 years that he spent over 62? I would like to understand the reason for that, please.
Okay, thank you for your call. You quoted not a policy, but the act. The Social Security Act number 13 of 1977 does state that an inmate is a ward of the state, and during that period, the pension is withheld. As we go, and that's the most I can say on that because that's the Social Security Act. However, though, as we go through reform and so on, and we meet the public, and we take considerations and so on, that submission can also be made for further consideration as we grow and evolve. So I appreciate your call for yourself. And employees, check. Just like how you check people's status, check your contribution status. Have a good day, y'all.
Happy Halloween. She didn't hear that one.
Yeah.
No, I told her happy Halloween, but I don't think she heard. Oh, you heard me? Okay.
Yeah, today's October 31st.
Well, hey.
Wait, no.
Oh, you're weird.
Weird. How you going to tell happy Halloween?
Yeah, why not?
Today isn't October.
It's October 25th.
Jobs had me mind switch
Today's
on the
the
day.
31st. I mean,
The 25th. That's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying.
Meaning she's not going to be here till
Oh,
that's what I meant. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
You see how you go play tricks on the mind.
Exactly.
Hear me switching,
Exactly.
thinking today is October 31st.
No.
As simple as that.
Meaning we only get to see her once a month.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
right. Mm-hmm.
Getting sure to be sure of your benefits. Sickness and maternity, I'll tell you about the rest of it. Survivors grant your spouse and kids get the best of it. Let me mention pension when you're 62.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
This is a public public service announcement.
Brace yourselves for the ultimate shopping extravaganza that you've been waiting for. Get ready to be blown away because double cashback coupon season has officially landed at Horsford's Furniture and Appliances and Ashley Furniture Home Store. Can you feel the excitement in the air? It's that magical time of year when Horsford's paves the way to your dreams by giving away millions in free groceries with every Flex Pay Higher purchase.
But wait, there's more to this phenomenal offer.
Hold on to your seats because this is your chance to win an entire year of free groceries through the exhilarating double cashback season, double cashback promotion. Wait. Did I mention it's double cashback coupon season at Horsford's Furniture and Appliances and Ashley Furniture Home Store? Don't delay. Come in today before it's too late and snatch up your double cashback coupons for absolutely free groceries. Terms and conditions apply. See store for details.
And it's time for Farm Report. 3 minutes after 9 o'clock, we have a big panel. We have Troy Flanders.
Yeah.
We have a very big contingent from the consortium, the Farmers Consortium. Troy, what's up?
Good morning.
Okay, you guys, everybody can hear me, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So we have with us this morning, we have members of the consortium, and they're here for another edition of Farm Report. And so I'm going to allow them to introduce themselves. I know that persons are aware of who they are, but there might be some persons who are still, and for the persons who know who the members are in this room, I think an introduction is necessary. So.
All right, thank you again for having us. My name is Mishak Alford. I'm the president of the Sinkits Consortium of Farmers and Food Producers. Sorry, my name is Mishak Alford, and I'm the president of the Sinkits Consortium of Farmers and Food Producers.
When we have a group like this, sometimes we have 1 or 2 members from the consortium, but when we have these members here, like they are here this morning, it is serious business. It is a serious discussion. Not saying that the other discussions aren't as serious, but I am awaiting what is to be discussed this morning by the men of the consortium here this morning. And gentlemen, I'm going to ask you first and foremost, what are your plans? I know that you have shared with us your plans over the time. I know that you have engaged the Minister of Agriculture over the time and the Ministry of Agriculture. I know that since then there has been the talk about the 25 plan, the agenda. I know that there has been traveling of the minister to outside of the region to speak, or within the region to speak about the agriculture plan. And so I am awaiting what it is that you guys here this morning have to discuss, considering that so many things are happening. I see something about greenhouses by the Ministry of Agriculture, and I'm seeing persons who I think there was some sort of I could be mistaken. It could be a gift given to farmers in terms of contribution or something like that. And so it seems as though the Ministry of Agriculture is, doing something in relation to the greenhouses that are being constructed and also some assistance to farmers. So I await what you have to say this morning in relation to all that is happening.
All right, thank you. Thank you again for having us. Without getting into much of a background, we've been here on several occasions and we've provided context for the organization, the purpose, the rationale for it. What you are also aware of is that we have been doing a good bit of rounds in terms of conversations, engagements with the various levels of the sector, from the director, deputy director, and so on, all the way up to the minister and even up to the prime minister level, seeking to gain an audience, and this falls very much within our mandate in terms of lobbying as much as possible on behalf of the farming community, at least on behalf of our membership. And from what we've garnered to date, and based on the conversation, is that we needed to do something more from on our end. And so what we decided most recently, based on those conversations we were having, is that we need to put a plan or a program in place for ourselves. Now, this is stemming from the fact that all of the would-be partners have come up with this notion that the farming community is very much inconsistent. And so the only way that we can deal with that is whether we could achieve arrive at some data or evidence to support what they're saying. In fact, on either side, there's no data to support what anybody's saying in that regard. And so we decided, you know what, we're not going to just be speaking on the matters. Let's begin to put something together. And we decided to come up with a program, a planting program for this particular growing season, which would have commenced at our discussion meeting. I think it's on the 22nd or so, 14th of September to commence on the 22nd. And so what we've decided is that we're not going to just pursue our own agenda. The government itself launched a 25 by 25 agenda. How can we get in sync with that? And so what we did, we identified about 6 crops, predominantly those that are on the agenda. And so looking at those prescriptions, we identified sweet peppers, we identified carrots, we identified cabbage, we identified onions, we identified cantaloupe and sun melon or yellow melons. And then we've identified farmers within the consortium who can come together now and decide, okay, we are going to produce this at a particular level for a period of 6 months or within that 6 months period. With that, for example, what we've decided to do is let us put in, for example, 250 trays thereabout of sweet peppers every month. If you do the math quickly, you recognize 250 times, each tray is about 72 plants. So you do the math, you see how much plants you're putting out there. And then you see about 3-4 pounds per plant. Again, you see what kind of production we are looking at least on a conservative measure. We've done similar numbers for cabbage. And we've also decided that we are going to at least put in 2 serious planting as it relates to onions and carrots. Now, the better period of the year to plant onion and carrots is right this minute, right this time, October, November period, right? And so we've had commitments from farmers groups to put down over 20 acres of carrots and onions. And then you still have some other individual members who are also going to participate with that production numbers.
Speaking of which, not to take you all off course, technically it's not off course. I just wanted to know, you're talking about that stuff. How are things looking after Tammy?
Okay, we'll get to that.
Okay, great. Okay.
So we've decided that we have other persons who are actually plugging in as it relates to the sun melon and the other thing. What we're doing essentially, we've put a schedule together with those numbers. We have our main keeper of that record and tracker. And so with time, we check in every once a week per se to make sure that we are measuring ourselves as we go along. And to answer to your question, when we come together at meetings, we're able to identify the challenges to the plan. So a plan is a plan. You know, it is an ideal state that you want to be in. But as soon as the plan hits the ground, everything can change, right? And everything that can go wrong will go wrong. So once we've committed to that, implementation has started. Persons have put the seedlings out and so on. And from the inception, you begin to get challenges and difficulties. Before Tammy, there was Philippe. So the lot of rains and the winds would have affected some of the farmers in what they were doing. Tammy is now just past us, and we are getting the feedback from farmers. They're getting the footages, the photos of serious dungas. Dungas is the term we call guts, but dig out on your lands.
Wow.
All right, and so that's happening a lot. I mean, even in the area, I was called. I got a call yesterday from a major farmer in the Mansion side area, and his wife, and they wanted that we make sure we express these kind of challenges, because they're going to send some photos again this morning. But that is the area in which we wanted to put on the 20 plus acres of carrots and onions. All right, and so these are setbacks that are away from even the systematic stuff that we still have to deal with. All right, and so we are making sure that even when these challenges occur, if one farmer, for example, said they can't make their numbers this month, how do we share it again amongst the? If 5 persons said they would have been in on the sweet pepper, for example, one farmer can't make it for one reason or next, then the 4 see how much they can balloon a little bit more to cover for that. Now, major problem with that as well is further than Tammy and son is also land preparation. The biggest cry we're getting right now is that most farmers who wants to start production can't get to start anything because we just slow with tractors coming around and so on. And we've been lamenting on this issue since early on, and we warned about this coming up. We are now smack in the growing season, and we're still faced with this same fundamental challenge that we've asked for assistance for. So it's for our own purposes. Because again, if persons are going to continuously accuse the farming community of their inability to produce, then we must have data to prove otherwise. And so the production is going on for that purposes. We are collecting our own information, and we're also stating the constraints, the struggles, the challenges we are having, all right, outside of the norm. Of course, during this period, we expect storm activities. We expect to have difficulties with insects and pests and so on. But what are the other things that are not in place that could have made us be more resilient to these challenges, to resist them to the maximum? And those are the things that we would like to highlight even more as we go and document them in real time. All right. Now, once we've come out of this experience and exercise, we're not saying that we expect to achieve this 100% of what we've proposed, but we want to use this experience to help us in our planning for a follow-up season, right? So the first time we are going to be working as a consortium together in a production thing. We have to discuss things about marketing, right? And so that's why we met kind of partly with agriculture. How can you help us, one, to record the data so we both have records of it? Secondly, how can you help us with extension services? Because what we are saying must be verified. So your extension service officers must be able to go out into the field. Once we would have provided you with the names of our farmers who are engaged in this production programming, you're supposed to be able to go and verify, ascertain how many plants are actually out there in the field. What does that translate in terms of poundage, in terms of production, so that you could begin now to blitz the market, to begin now to have conversations with the markets here, so that we know what can truly be assimilated by the market itself here on the island. So those are the kind of conversations we would have had with them. We're hoping to have continuous conversation. And again, this is part of our stance to say, we're not fighting with anybody. We've called from very early on for collaboration. We've decided also too, without much information, without any assistance whatsoever, that we are going to move forward on something, right? And we've started that process.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. When we look at now, I know that there might have been others in the room here who have also wanted to add to what Mishak is saying. Is there anybody else who wants to add to the plans that he has? Anyone else who has another take as to what is happening?
Well, I think what the president said is well put together, and I just want to express my profound gratitude to Mr. Flanders for spearheading this program from its inception very early. Just to add to what he's saying, very early, Flanders came to us and he told us, guys, I secured a program, a platform from which we are going to be able to share the information. And, at the beginning, we've never really been this way. And so we were a bit skeptical as to whether or not we were going to be able to keep up with the program and have content continuously for the program. But here we are, and one of the major part of this project, the project that Mr. Alford spoke so eloquently about, is having this platform to share with the general community what we are doing. And we don't just want you to take what we are saying on the radio when we are here. We want you to verify. There are areas from which you could ask questions. I think the president is available, but ask questions from the ministry. And this morning I want to make a special appeal to our farmers. We are going through a very difficult time in the farming community. By this month, this is a determining month to whether or not we are going to be able to harvest for the biggest season that we have in St. Kitts, which is December. And it is clear what is happening here. We had two sort of back-to-back windstorm. I am the president of the Mansion Farmers Association, and what has happened over there is devastating, to say the least. And so we know we are going to be put back about 2.5 months for our harvest period. Now, that is huge in the life of a farmer. And so I am happy again to say that we want you to join with us. We want you to come along with us, take the journey, and we're happy to share what we're doing with you.
Okay. Mr. Flanders, anything that you like to say at this time?
You see why these guys come in?
Yes.
Reinforcement.
Yes.
Them are the heavy hitters,
Yes. I know, well, I know Mishak, he indicated the plans. I know too that a lot of things are happening within the Ministry of Agriculture. A lot of things seem to be happening in agriculture as we look at not just St. Kitts and Nevis but within the region. The 25 by 25 agenda is one that is being stated over and over again as to, for us to reach to that goal by 2025, and 2025 is 2 years from now, about 2 years or 1.5, maybe 1 and some. So are you based on the plans by the Ministry of Agriculture, are we in that, are we getting there? Are we getting to that agenda plan? Are we getting there in 2025 based on what's happening now?
I can chime in here because one of the leaders who is not here today draw attention to a report that was sent out that leads in the media concerning the whole 25 by 25 on the CARICOM level. I want to read something from that report. It says, we are at the midpoint for the 25 by 2025 program. And in that regard, I am pleased to report that 11.9% growth in agriculture for Guyana, with growth in all subsectors in the year 2022. I am pleased to report at 17% growth in agriculture in Jamaica for 2022. I am also pleased to report increase in infrastructural investments and expenditures in Guyana, St. Lucia, Barbados, Jamaica, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and Montserrat. I make this case because of that last statement. First and the last statement. One is that we are at the midpoint. And for me, when you look and you ask the farmers, are we anywhere with this agenda? And they would answer you in the negative. They are not clear as to where we're going and so on, and that is a fact. The second aspect of it is about infrastructural investment. You're hearing how much these countries are investing in infrastructure as it relates to agriculture. And we've been advocating for infrastructural investments because this whole point about consistency is built on how reliable or if there exists any real infrastructure to support what we are doing. And you're seeing now across the region in the reports, I think it's not mentioned, St. Kitts and Nevis is not mentioned in this report, at least from what is here on paper. And so what we are saying is, we don't think we are too far off in what we are asking for or calling for. In fact, when we said we wanted to have a voice, we were very clear as to what that meant. And even having come on the radio stations and gone into meetings and meet different persons of different orientation and so on these matters, when we came back and settled down and said, look, it seems as though we're going to have to begin to walk our own road because we don't seem to be getting any kind of real traction of any kind. It is when you begin to study again the ministry's own documents, you recognize it called for an advisory and policy body of some kind that is in the agricultural transformation strategy. So again, it makes you feel as though people seems to be aware that we are asking for things that are not too far-fetched. But then when we ask them, it's as if it's a deer in headlights. They're not too clear as to what we're talking about. And this has been the biggest fight for us. The biggest struggle is on the conversation of having a voice. And as we've made it very clear earlier on, that if we have a voice, then we can also influence the various policies. Policies as it relates to finance, marketing, every other aspect, infrastructure development, some of the projects and the programs to come on board and how they are dispensed with, how they are administered, and so on. And so, again, we are still trying to emphasize that because that's the only way we could truly work together. The ad hoc nature of how you relate with the farming community does not work. Pulling two persons just in the morning to go to an event just doesn't cut it, right?
You guys want to take, you guys ready to take calls?
Okay, let's take some calls.
Farm Report, you're on it. Okay, we did have another call, so here we go. Farm Report, you are on. Go right ahead.
Greetings all.
Hey,
a song was made a while ago that the consortium is not aware of the plans of the ministry. We're asking the ministry to give whatever information the consortium is seeking to give it to the consortium. This is a CARICOM initiative. And if St. is I was asking the question if there seems to be any discriminatory vibration towards the service of the land prep concerning consortium farmers and other farmers. But I was told that the problem is right across the board. So we will leave that alone. But once again, we want to call upon the ministry, the Honorable Minister and every other one whom it may concern to make sure that the consortium is rallied around with in every aspect, especially information. We will leave it there for now. Best wishes, all.
Thank you.
Blessed love.
I wanted to ask a question. The statistics that you gave a while ago, those came out of that consultation they had. Where was it? Bahamas? Belize. Yeah. Okay. What do you attribute the fact that there were no statistics from St. Kitts Nevis?
Yeah.
Well, I don't think we're in a position, in a sense, to say.
It's
a question that I believe that the media, in particular, should begin to ask. I think that if I ask, if the consortium asks, you might get a certain posturing, but the media could assist greatly in this regard.
But as a member of the consortium, do you think it's significant? St. Kitts and Nevis not being mentioned at all in the article. Do you think that is significant?
Well, the leader who sent the article, what he said, that it was a damning report. Those were his words, to be exact. And when there isn't anything reported on for St. Kitts and Nevis, it could be viewed simply as there's nothing reported on. But for us, it speaks volume because it tells you that nothing is happening for us. And if nothing is happening for us as farmers, it means that we're in the deficit. And that is why we're saying, give us an opportunity to participate because we also have stake in the game, and it helps it plays to our benefit as farmers.
But if you look at the article that is circulated, it mentions of some of the good things that these countries are doing. So, I mean, on the flip side, the things that Nevis may not mention, do you think that is saying, as you've said, that maybe, you know, nothing of great...
As Esmond said, right? And last week, I drew the attention to this before this article come out. Right? And we call on the media.
So was it you who said last week that you watched the thing and they didn't say anything? We were the only ones that didn't say anything, apparently. I was going to bring that up just now.
So you realize now, as I tell you, the meetings were carried live.
Yeah.
So with this report coming out, and you see St. Kitts Nevis' name in it, you see exactly what I was speaking about, right?
Okay, guys, let's take a pin. It's 9:30. We're gonna take a word. We gotta get a word from Rams, the sponsor of this day part, and we did have some calls coming in. So, callers, we will be back on the other side with the Farm Report, and we have a full panel here from the consortium.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
Get the drive with Lucozade Energy. Buy Lucozade and enter for a chance to win the grand prize of a Toyota Hilux. Plus, win up to 500,000 instant prizes, including Fitbit watches, GoPros, earbuds, Amazon gift cards, and free Lucozade. To enter, buy one of the Lucozade Energy promo bottles and look under the cap for your code. Enter it online or send it via WhatsApp, see press, and social media for details. Buy, win, and get the drive with Lucozade Energy today. Lucozade, taste the energy.
Magnum, my brand. Everybody put your Magnum in the air now. From you a drink Magnum, make me see. Take charge of things now your place now. From the river to the beach to the street. Hot Magnum when me have in a me hand there. Here a sipper, she tell me sweet. Look for me watch for your quick time check. Yeah. Right now a Magnum a for your beat. Enjoy yourself every day of the week with a Magnum. My life I forget sweeter. Must be 18 years and older to drink. Drink responsibly.
(9:32) and we are back on Farm Report, and don't forget we're taking your calls as well. Guys, go. You can continue.
Yes. We were talking about the article that was. We were talking about the article that was published. And Troy, who? I know you shared an article. Who was the author of the article? Where did it come from?
It's a newspaper in Jamaica.
In Jamaica. Okay, then. No problem. Okay, so before we went on the break, we were talking about the conference that was held. Where was the conference held?
Belize.
Yeah. Belize?
Yeah.
Okay, and they had members there, had ministers of agriculture from the region?
Yeah, it was the Caribbean agricultural meeting.
Okay, then. And it was carried live?
Yeah.
You saw presentations by different countries?
Yeah, you could see reports if people present something.
Okay. Was reports done by all countries in attendance?
I want to believe. I know, but I ain't sure.
Not sure.
I ain't sure.
Not sure.
Okay, then.
I want to believe so. I ain't sure.
Okay, then. But you're saying that no report was given by our minister. Is that what you're saying? Based on what you would have seen?
No. Don't frame it that way.
Okay.
I was saying at one round table discussion. I don't know if it's there this article come from.
Okay.
Our delegation was mute.
Okay.
That's what I was saying.
And what was the discussion about? You could remember?
25 by 25, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, to be fair, they could have had more than one
session,
and that just happened to be the one that we saw.
Yeah.
So let's be fair, you know.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the report is further confirming that.
But then there's still no statistics, so there's also that.
Right. So the report is confirming that no report was made.
Yeah.
But certain things that was said in that report also, you speak about training also in there.
Yes.
And we are yet to himself do anything that was said in here. Anything.
Troy, you want to take a call?
Let's take some calls. Let's see what people have to say.
Yeah. Go ahead, Troy. I mean, caller. Caller, go right ahead. Sorry.
Radio to tell cattle farmers to tie the animals. So we think, how could this be? What is happening is like military agriculture want crop farmers and animal farmers to get at a war. We must kill one another. What is actually taking place presently now? Minister of Agriculture and his permanent secretary taking the farmers as if we're working for Montreal Farms and we have to abide to what they say. These men using the outfit to just victimize. And it's like, where is the integrity in public outfit? It's very lacking with the way deep into this thing. And the Prime Minister does look into his crystal ball. By the end of 2024, in the middle of his term, and with people who vote according to how they feel. It is not right for what's taking place. At this point in time, the Prime Minister needs the compulsory have an urgent meeting with the farmers because nasty grievances we are encountering. It can't be going on so. It can't be. Why is this? Minister of Agriculture, he have a farm. He harvests every week. I can't plant. How could it be? I was going to beg. I was going to teeth. Why? Up to this point in time, I can't find time to have a meeting with me and the ombudsman, the same permanent secretary, and the director of agriculture. And he's saying, right, this thing needs to be taken to IECO, and they may stop from doing it. We need to demonstrate against them. Good morning, goodbye.
Thank you for your contribution. Yeah.
And you know, it's over a year now. More you hear this caller every week with the same complaint.
Yeah.
So I think they should be tired of hearing the farmer and assist the guy.
At least.
Yeah. And I mean, visit him. Yeah. Wow.
The problem with visiting, this is something. The problem with visiting because one of the things I expressed in the meeting with the director the last time, because there's this notion or perception that we grant through a meeting and that is progress. You know, I had to say to persons continuously, and in that meeting as well, I had to say, you are not granting me a meeting as a matter of a privilege. It's a right. It's part of your duty to do so. You have to remember that you are a civil servant. The first word in is civil. Be nice, be courteous, cordial, and then serve. Right? So you serve with those attributes. And so to think that by just opening up your doors for us to meet is sufficient, that can't suffice. Right? Because again, when we look at the way meetings are conducted or where you are hosting persons, you can tell that you're not even listening. You can tell, by the way, if you're taking notes, you can tell if you have an agenda to come with. You understand? And so what we are saying is we know whether you have respect for us or not. Not by virtue of you saying good afternoon and thanks and so forth, the things that we say you have manners. But whether how you treat with us when we come in, whether you follow up with us based on what we've discussed, and you know whether you're open with us in terms of communication you're sharing. Because we've come and we've put our belly out in front of you, and yet we are still waiting for some kind of response and so on. Come on.
Let's take another call. Farm Report, go right ahead. Okay, on to the next. Farm Report, go right ahead.
Yeah, hello?
Hi, caller.
Yeah, man, much better now or what?
Yes, much better.
Yeah, man, I just want to call in and give support to the other callers before. That's really what I really want to do, nice and simple. And, yeah, big ups to the guys that's on today. And I want to wish them the best of luck, man, going forward. But, you know, I don't really think that these ministers in government, they're serious about certain things. You know, Azard, last week, Jamster, I noticed you're paying attention really good, man. Somebody mentioned last time that the meeting down in Belize, the Sinkis officials that went down there, they did not make enough contribution or minimal contribution. I'm just asking Azard, was he able to go back and look at that live feed?
Yeah, I'll
so
try Maybe Troy might have it. Oh, Troy, you don't have it. We will see if we could recover it. No promises yet. We'll see if we could recover it.
All right, okay, yeah. That way you can be a little bit more prepared, man. But, you know, great discussions, and I want to just wish the guys the best of luck going forward. Yeah, thanks a lot, man.
Thank you. Thank you for your contribution.
What the president was just saying in a nutshell, since we start discussion with the powers that be, the discussion has to...
As though you could give information and information would be received and then acted upon. It just seemed like a token, you know. Oftentimes when you being a part of organization, you talk about young people and young people being a part of the process. You invite them to a meeting, but really and truly you're not listening to what they have to say. You just invite them for inviting them sake. And that reminds me of what the president is saying in that. So I don't know if he wants to, I don't know if I am capturing what you were saying adequately.
That's in very, very layman terms. Because again, one of the things I really try to emphasize is you can talk about consultation, right? And the fact that you start a consultative process, you must carry it to its, end. And so having a one-off meeting doesn't suffice to say you heard or you listened to. Coming back time and time again until we could work. In fact, I mean, the guys are here. We have committed ourselves and said to the department and the ministry, if we have to come every week or how much of a time is necessary to, work through with you guys together on some of these proposals, then let's do it.
Mishak, we have a call. Farm report, go right ahead.
Yes, man, I forget to mention this. One person went some bus with salt on. He used to export salt. How much salt does we import annually? From that said salt, he could have made strips. How much strips we would import annually? One man when go do that, That happened to Christopher Above. He left us in a great debt. So two men want to control the agricultural industry. What it is, Ministry of Tourism and the Ministry of Agriculture collaborating to produce
and begin to work together as a collective. Some of the challenges that we are facing now, we're not going to overcome them as a single unit, but as a collective. We're going to have to put our ego and sometimes our anger aside and begin to rally around a particular leader or leadership. One of the things that as young men, and most young men and women, predominantly young men in our field at the moment, one of the things that if you look around, any group of people who were able to rise had to submit or yield to some form of leadership. And that doesn't mean that the person is perfect, but it simply means they possess the ability to take us forward. The consortium has since done that. We have put our collective skills and knowledge, and we have pooled those behind, our president, the President Mishak Alford. And I am pleading with our young farmers not to be carried away with little handouts that would come to tempt you from organizing yourself in a real way so that we can galvanize a movement and begin to forge our way forward. I want to share an article quickly.
You want to take this call? Be brief.
Share the article now. I am on here.
Yes, you are.
Yes.
Okay, quickly. The onus, in the interest of the public, the onus is on the media to seek information concerning our silence, as part of CARICOM at these meets concerning the 2025 sorry about the background there. Yeah, the onus is on the media to seek those information and to let the public know exactly what the situation is. Concerning the greenhouse project that the ministry is focusing on, I would like to ask the consortium if any invitation was given to the consortium to be at the opening, to be whatever concerning the greenhouse project. We will hang up and listen off here. Blessed Lord.
Yes, the greenhouses. So his question, as you know, whether consultation was done as to that project, the greenhouse.
Well, from my understanding, I recognize that the greenhouse breaking ceremony was done in the Broderson area. From what I gathered, farmers were invited to that ceremony the morning of the ceremony. And so I think there were 2 farmers who were present, and both farmers, I think, would have received their invitation the morning of the groundbreaking ceremony. 2 farmers. Notwithstanding, or should I mention, that the night before, there was a prize-giving ceremony where there was another opportunity to market this groundbreaking ceremony and to invite farmers who were there at the prize-giving ceremony to also be there. So the reasoning for that, but I'm here and I was quite silent for the morning, and that's because of my disappointment, really, with farmers here spanning the entire country from right around St. Kitts, and all we have been asking for is a partnership. We're not saying that we have all the answers, but what we're saying, we have solutions to some of the issues, and we are the practitioners who are implementing this and have been in the field now for years. We know what we are going through. We are farmers, we are at different tiers. And so it cannot just be a blanket handout and think that that's going to solve the problem. We have always been asking for the build-out of the infrastructure. We're not asking for handout for a plastic roll, a drip line here, some fertilizer, some seed, because that is not dealing with the problem or the problem that we are facing. We are saying, let us come together and look at this thing from the grass, from the root, from the foundation, and build that proper foundation. I've always said that. So that generations, we're not saying that these solutions going to be, the problem is going to be solved in our lifetime. But what we are saying, let us start this so that there is that platform, so that the farmers in the future wouldn't be going through the same issues that we are going through today. And so I am very disappointed that all we are asking for is this collaboration so that we can move the sector forward. Because I don't think we can have this discussion nowhere in St. Kitts. Or if we have this discussion, everybody would have come to one understanding and one agreement. The sector is broken and it needs fixing. And continuously throwing money and throwing gifts at it is not going to solve the problem. So again, we are being given gifts. What is the goal then? And what are we hoping to achieve by throwing out these gifts? To plastic mulch here, to drip line over there, some seeds. What are we hoping to achieve? What is the goal? And these are the things that I'm sitting here and I'm quite disappointed that we have not, been met halfway so that we can sit down realistically and done with this talking. Stop telling me that what is going to happen and what is going to happen. I think that time has passed. I think we'd need to see some action. We need to see tangibles now.
There's something I need to say. We have 9 minutes until 10 o'clock. Something I have to say. I remember last week after Farm Report, a friend of mine stopped me. And I've had 2 or 3 other comments where people say, the farmers are so political and they're bashing the government. And I push back strongly on that because, I'm listening to y'all. I find y'all to be very fair and reasonable. And given the obvious frustration, y'all could be a lot more incendiary as far as I'm concerned. I can't believe you're telling me that only 2 people went to the greenhouse groundbreaking or whatever, and I mean, I remember I was thinking earlier, oh, he's kind of quiet, and then you finally said something. I mean, for all the people who are gonna say that you all are being political, this has nothing to do with being political. I find you all are being very reasonable in consistently and continually making your grouses heard. And if the grouses are not addressed, you come and you reasonably address them. You reasonably make appeals again. And I don't understand how anyone considered y'all being political.
So for the person,
I just wanted to say that because I know he's listening.
But for the persons who are saying that we are political, obviously they do not know the political background for the person sitting in the room, and so that
they will be surprised. Trust me.
But
they will be surprised the level of involvement some persons here.
Farmers, and what we want to see is that this ministry to be built out. It's not that we're trying to make an issue, but we are saying let us build it together because it's for everybody to benefit. The citizens, everybody is going to benefit.
Right. And that is why we are pleading again. We are calling on us because I like the fact that we are calling on the ministry, but we have to appeal to ourselves, and we are appealing to our farmers to come together and let's begin to move as a collective. Very little is going to be achieved outside of coming together and moving as a collective. In one of our meetings, we shared an article entitled "Doing Business with St. Kitts and Nevis," and I just want to read a few short paragraphs from the article to give us some perspective as to why we are failing. And somebody called last week when Troy was on the program, and they asked if our leaders are influenced externally. And I think two things can be true at the same time, and Troy skillfully answered him. If they are, then they are compromised. And so one of the things I want to look at is some of the things that could be detrimental to our growth. In the article, it says at the bottom of page 9, it says, farmers may import duty-free vehicles and machinery to be used in agriculture. Imported and domestic animals, poultry feed, plants, seed and bulbs, machinery for agricultural purposes, fertilizers and herbicide are exempt from consumption tax. Now, if we go down to page 12, and I'm just sharing some responsibilities that the government hold that is not carried out at the moment, and these are detrimental to us. On page 12, it says, it clearly states the role of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Internal Trade and Industry and Commerce. It said they are in charge of granting import license. Licenses are typically valid for 3 months and are not transferable. Applications are generally processed within 24 hours. Import restrictions in the form of quantitative limits other than those that are allowed by Article 56 are applied to some agricultural imports from non-CARICOM countries. Eggs may be imported only by domestic egg producers.
Members of the press, I believe that we have much to be
production
grateful
is
for.
insufficient. Imports of a number of vegetables, such as cabbage, the one that we mentioned earlier, carrots, the one that we mentioned earlier, onions, the one we mentioned earlier, sweet peppers, tomatoes, and white potatoes are subjected to seasonal import restrictions Licenses are granted to import these items from outside of CARICOM only when domestic production cannot meet demand.
Okay, so
Now,
we have about 1 more minute. I know you said all of that. So in a nutshell,
right.
give us your point in
now,
a minute.
The point here is, these are the things that we've been struggling with.
Mm-hmm.
The granting of the import permit when we are at full production, we still have to throw away thousands and thousands of pounds of vegetables at the end of every season. And this is a privilege that we have here as the farming community. And so we are saying, as a collective again, these are some of the things that we have to change. This is showing us that the system as is not working on our behalf. And I just want to read something quickly as we close.
We are going
just before we close.
Mm-hmm.
And in the same article on page 16, because, and again, probably we'll have to come back and make the point later.
Yes.
It says here, remember I told you that farmers are only allowed to import duty-free and machine and vehicles.
Mm-hmm.
In the same article, it gave the hotel industry, it said the companies which qualify for tax holidays are allowed to import into St. Kitts and Nevis duty-free all equipment, machinery, spare parts, and raw material used in production. So as we're saying for the longest while, for the past 8 months, we've been asking the ministry to grant us the ability to import our parts for our machinery with some concession. And they're saying that the government is in need of revenue. Here in this article, the same government give an external business the right to import everything duty-free. And what is damning here is that after these companies are given the privilege to import everything duty-free, we have to go back to them to sell them things with duty. And then they say, we can't buy from you because your cost is too high.
Okay, so let's make a cliffhanger and we can continue this next week.
We need to continue this, yes. So I
Um,
want to say thank you to all of you here. Continue to push forward regardless of the criticisms because you guys do have support. And I want to say thank you for allowing Win FM to be your platform to hear your concerns as you meet them and as you go forward as a consortium.
And a quick correction, the meeting was held in Bahamas, not Belize. And,
so yeah, I did say Bahamas. Okay.
Yeah, it's Bahamas. Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
Anyway, happy birthday, mother.
Okay, see you all next week.
And before I go, I just want to say, Pastor, Bishop Henville from the Old World area community, the church, Tabernacle, Faith Tabernacle, he passed. And I want to give sympathies to the family, loved ones, and those persons who would have shared a very close connection with him.
Okay, great. Okay, that's it for Farm Report on Island Tea. We have Sugar Fix coming up next. We're gonna have we are going to have the chairman of the Soca subcommittee on deck. He's gonna be joining me. 10:01.